So today we are going with another interesting topic, which is about the structure of bones. Basically, bones are very much important because they do so many functions. Our skeleton system is completely made up of bones, muscles, cartilage. This means so many structures combined, they form our another structure that's called as a skeleton system. Our human skeleton consists of so many things, either the skull, backbone, vertebral column like backbone or vertebral column, sternum, which is the center region, then ribs. Even skeleton is divided into two parts, axial and appendicular. We discussed this all in the introductory class or in the last class, which was about human skeleton introduction.
So yes, then like today's structure is about bones. So let's check it out. What we'll see, what exactly is that. So if I just make a structure,
Oh god. Okay, so here comes the structure. I hope, I know this is not very good, but still, let's check it out. What you'll see, what kind of structure are these. So our bone is again like there are three parts basically. What are these three parts? How it's like this one part, a boning like this structure, that's called as wait so that's called as epiphysis. Then comes the second one, that's called as a not endo, like this one entire, this remaining part called as a, that's called a diaphysis. And here like this space basically, this space is also called as something that's called as metaphysis. Metaphysis. So I hope it will be like very much clear. So these three structure which have different functions, we'll discuss that as well. So in this one, in the middle we have another kind of structure. This structure is called as what? That's called as a yellow bone marrow. But sadly I have not made with the yellow bone marrow. Yellow, whenever you just see yellow, like we also have yellow muscle, not muscle but yellow kind of tissues. So that's called as the adipose tissue. Adipose tissues are what? Adipose tissues or fat, they contain our adipose uh, fat. This means an extra fat present in our body in the yellow color. When is it used? Of course it is not used every time, but when you don't eat so many things, if you're on intermediate dieting or you are controlling not to eat more, at that time adipose tissue is going to convert to provide you like uh,
energy, and that also adipose tissue is also important sometime in people's.
then we have few other structure over here, over both side, like this red like structure, that's called as a red bone marrow. Red bone marrow. Oops. See. Okay, let me just make it again, sorry. Sorry for that. So red bone marrow. Then here we have on both sides, of course these are called as the same red bone marrow. Then here we have another kind of structure over here. This structure is called as a what? That's called as a bone cell, and even that's also called as osteocytes. So I hope it will be clear. Then of course you might have seen our bones are made up of calcium.
And they have so much calcium. So how? Yes. So if you're thinking where would be that structure, let me tell you that as well. So here you'll see kind of a thin like structure or the foot like this position. So this kind of structure basically called as what is called as a calcium phosphate.
Right. And just I hope it will be very much clear. We also have even a very important point. Birds don't have the middle one. The middle, this is structure, this yellow bone marrow, birds don't have. We also have a reason why they don't have. That's because they always fly in the sky, right? So they need to have very high, not high, but the low weight, very small weight, so that they could be able to move at the very upper layer of the sky, and that's all. So that's why the birds who don't have yellow, of course, not like almost every bird don't have the bone marrow, yellow bone marrow, so they are called as nomadic. This means they don't have bone marrow, they're called as nomadic. We also have fat soluble structure. Fat soluble. Fat soluble, this means they contain vitamin A and E, absorb it and do such functions. So yes, I hope everything about this is clear. Then I will read it out so you'll understand more. So here comes the entire structure. I hope very much clear. Okay. So let's check it out. Structure of bone. Bones are the longest, not longest, but toughest living structure composed of different cells. Bone of the skeleton system different in size, shape, but they are similar in their structure. So their structure is quite similar, but their size varies.
Structure their size and the shape varies because sometimes you'll see different shape, but normally what we study is this the particular shape which I made. So the major portion of the bone is formed by collagen fiber and different types of cells, while other components include minerals which is 10 to 20%, and they have water collagen to the fibrous protein in the strengthening calcium classification or ossification. So yes, they have so many structures, and mostly you will see that would be about portion of the collagen fibers, or they're like different types of cells. Either that's their component including minerals which are around 10 to 20%, and we have water collagen which forms fibers like this structure. We also have calcium on the strengthening bone with the calcium, that's called as a calcification. This means the division, and also we call them as the ossification. So yes, here comes the structure basically. So long bone has three distinct regions, as I mentioned. The terminal region, this means the end region called as epiphysis, the middle region called diaphysis, and in between middle and terminal region there is a metaphysis. Yes, at the both end metaphysis present, then epiphysis is what is a cancellous or spongy part of the bone, which is a small weight bearing cross-linked region called, yes, they have another region which is weight bearing, that's cross linked region, that's called as a trabecula. Then epiphysis is filled with the red bone marrow. Yes, we mentioned that epiphysis is the middle one. Epiphysis, which is not middle one but the end one, which has the bone marrow, which produce 20% of blood cells, from forms about 20% of total mass of the skeleton as well. Then comes the external part of the diaphysis, which is called as cortical bone. So yes, I did not mention, but when the diaphysis region, that is also called as the cortical bone. Cortical bone forms around 80% of the skeleton structure, so you need to remember. And they consist of many small cylindrical structures, that's called as the osteons. Then we have osteon, which is the organic part, collagen. And when we talk about the inorganic part, that's called as a hydrophytide. Then these all are mostly made up of calcium. In the center we have osteon, and yes, okay. In the center of the bone we have another structure called as medullary canal, and a hollow space lined by the honeycomb. Honeycomb like structure you'll see called sponges. These are made up of or called as cancellous bone. We have the medullary canal, which contains the bone marrow, which is the site of the blood cell production. So yes, I hope it will be clear. Then let's read this as well. Or the outer covering of the bone called as, yes, an important point when we talk about the outer covering of the bone, that's called as peristonium, and the inner layer called as endostom. right? Peritoneum, which allow attachment of muscles, connective tissue, tendons, like attachment of muscle with the tissue called as tendon, and muscle to muscle, that's called as a ligament. So to the tissue to the bone, and provide pathway for blood and lymphatic. Then we have endostonium, which is a soft and lines between the cavity of long bones. Then we have osteogenetic progenitor cells which develop into osteoblast. Then we have the secrete the bone matrix, and chondroblast which secrete cartilage. Yes, and chondroblast which secrete cartilage. It play a key role in the healing of fractures, of course, and they also creating new cells necessary for the bone to fuse as well. I hope it will be very much clear. Let's check it out what's here. So let's check it out outer structure first. Okay, so this is the outer structure. Basically the first region called as epiphysis, here this one called as diaphysis, last one is distal epiphysis. Okay, then what you will see their medullary cavity, the internal called medullary cavity. They have compact bone, the outer covering called as peritoneum, and they have epiphyseal lines, articular cartilage, and spongy bone at the end. So yes, here comes the detail part. We see spongy bone, compact bone, and articular cartilage. The inner one called as endocenum, endosteum. We have yellow bone marrow in the middle. Then we have compact bone, peristonium outer one. We have perforating Sharpie's fiber as well. We have nutrient arteries. So yes, this was all about the bone, like a detailed video and the one shot mainly. So I hope it would be very much clear. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.